Hey guys, welcome to AutoMotivate and welcome back to another episode. Today, we are going to put some floor into the van. Throughout the video, I will show you the products that I use, the tactics that I use, and there may be mistakes, but I will show the mistakes and hopefully that will help you all out on your own van build. But for now, let's go ahead and install the flooring into the back of this van. But one thing I do want to mention is that I will be creating an accessway into this fuel pump access panel that I installed in the previous video. And the first thing that we had to start is templating the entire van because the carpet that came in this van was completely gross. This is how we're gonna do it. First, grab some paper, lay it out, yep. Squish into the corner, tape it down, start cutting it. Then just keep on taping it and cutting it around all the grooves. And be careful not to score the metal so you don't have to repaint it. And that's basically how I did that. So with that same tactic, let's go ahead and do the other side. Then we will then get some cardboard. While I've been going through this process, I've been ripping the paper, cutting it into shape, but I just figured out a much more superior way to do this, and that's basically to fold it in place. Instead of cutting it, you're folding it in place and just taping it down. That's a whole lot easier. And I'm about to do this side right here. And if you see, I'm just kind of scrunching it down. And then it kind of fits nicely and perfectly in these grooves. So that's what I advise y'all to do if you're doing this. Now it's time to make the templates out of the cardboard. I measured out 90 inches, cut the cardboard into shape, taped it down, brought the paper over, traced out the paper. Then I started to cut out the cardboard.
I would just start cutting in here.
Be sure you cut on the outside of the line so you have some wiggle room, and you can always cut more later, but you cannot add more, so keep that in mind. It fits pretty good, but it does need a little bit of trimming as expected. I am not expecting a 100% perfect cut, but pretty happy with that. Let's do that side. And the same concept goes here. And that's it. Just kidding. I have some explaining to do. So over there's a big gap. So in order for me to fill that big gap, I'd have to push this side in, and that would mess up that whole side that we just did. So I'm just gonna cut down the middle right here, then retape it. Now I just taped it all back together and did some final trims, then added some cardboard down the middle so we can take this out in one shape. So we can then place it on top of the foam board, the insulation, the stuff that will make the van cold when it's hot and hot when it's cold, or at least help it. Now just trace it out with a marker. And now we're gonna use this saw, this saw, and it should cut straight through it. Saw horses coming right up. Bought them off Amazon. I think they're like 30 bucks. Link in the description down below if you want them. Let's cut this. Now let's see if that fits. Other than a tiny bit of trimming, it fits pretty good. Now we're going to go ahead and cut the other side and see how it all matches together.
And this is coming down. This one's still out by probably 1/4 of an inch.
Some quick trimming. And it fits like a glove, or kind of like a glove. Now I'm cutting out a hole for the fuel access panel. And the saw worked perfectly.
Perfect.
You hear that? It's perfect. And yep, just perfect. Drilling out by hand where the bolts are and shaving down the foam that goes on top of the fuel access panel just so it can be flat, or as flat as I can get it, with the same saw, and I just extended the blade. And that looks pretty nifty. So we are going to go ahead and cut this material into strips about that big to fit in those grooves. So yeah. So we need about 10 strips of about 2.5 inches wide at 90 inches long. So that's what we're gonna do for that. I actually did about 14 strips. Let's go ahead and start cutting it. Yep. Might be overkill, but it's gonna get the job done. Yeah. And I just sprayed down the adhesive, let it get tacky. Then I laid down the foam between the grooves, just like this, all the foam. And then I did all the spots on the side as well. It definitely isn't pretty, but it's gonna work. All the grooves are now filled. Yep, I cut it literally this fast. All right. Just kidding. Now I'm cutting the hole out of the plywood, which was quite a bit harder compared to the foam as one might expect. Nice. All right. It's beautiful. Look at it. It's pretty good. Flattens down nicely. But overall, the fit looks pretty good. And here's the vinyl. We actually bought this vinyl from Lowe's, and we were very happy with the color. Rolled it on out, placed down the plywood to trace it out, and then we were cluelessly tracing it backwards. Then we're getting a pep talk from Tara's mom. She sews. Basically, we did everything backwards, so we need to flip the panels. So that's us flipping it. That's basically the proper way to do it. So I went ahead and traced it with a different color. So this is the access panel to the fuel pump. I want it to be as discreet as possible and not in the way at all. I am going to just cut it 3 ways. So where the vinyl can flip up and it would be like an access door. And now it's time to cut it. I first used a vinyl cutter. That wasn't doing much justice because it was really hard to see where I was cutting. Tried to use my pocket knife and that was also not doing very well. So I finally came to my senses and started using scissors. And the scissors were by far the easiest. It just slid straight through the vinyl as I was cutting it. I felt like a pro. And with that, guys, the vinyl is finally done. Load it back up and then plop it in the van to test fit it. Nice, nice. Had to do some quick trimming just to make it fit more of a glove, not an oversized glove. Okay, so everything is test fit and it looks pretty good. Here's me doing something weird. That's basically this contraption to get to the fuel pump, which I think it works pretty good. Then rolling it back up. Hey, so now we need to backpedal just a little bit and we need to go ahead and fill up these holes, some spray foam. Now, I've actually had a subscriber contact me and let me know that spray foam can allow rust to formulate. I looked into it. It can happen. People who reported it rusting, they sprayed it when it was super cold. I'm just gonna do these holes I just talked about. I'm going to apply the plywood with this. It's basically like industrial tape that should really hold down this plywood into the frame. So let's do that. Time for the home stretch, guys. Just adding this tape and cutting it down to size. I place it just right over the insulated foam. Then I press down the foam board. It was pretty sticky, super sticky. And basically just kept on pressing everything down. It came out to be pretty nice. And now with the vinyl, I'm doing the whole perimeter and then down the middle, so the vinyl won't pick up on the sides. And man, that is looking so good. Doing this was actually a bit hard to make it look as nice as I can, but I'm pretty happy with it. It's hot, but the floor is done. Finally. Of course, I still need to add the edging around all this, and this floor is not coming up at all. And here's me talking, but I'm gonna do a voiceover anyways, and I'm just basically showing the gaps of this side of the van. The other side is just as good, but this side is pretty nice, and I just want to show it to you. Pretty happy with it. I'm by means no professional, but I think this is pretty good. So yeah guys, that's basically how I installed my floor in my van. Now, there are a whole bunch of other people who have done it a total different way, but this is just the way I did it. But I'm definitely happy with my results. It looks good, it feels good. So basically, the idea is that I lift this vinyl piece and the piece of wood comes up with it. But overall, it looks pretty flush and looks pretty clean in my opinion. Then it just shuts. And it just kind of shuts. I mean, the camera fell, but it shuts. You can barely even tell it's here. Barely even tell. The lines line up pretty nicely. I'm happy with that. And this is the first time I ever did anything like this. I'm very happy to have the help that I had throughout this entire process. It took 2 days, and overall this wasn't terribly priced. Yeah, we spent about $15 for each foam board, each plywood, so that's 60 bucks. Then the miscellaneous came out to be about 120 or 30 bucks. And this vinyl, the vinyl came out to be about 90 bucks. It came out to be 90 bucks. So in total, we spent about $200 just building this floor. We used a 1/2 inch foam board. Guys, if you like this video, then I'll see you in the next one. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully it helped you out in your process and all that fun stuff. I'm tired. Guys, this is Chris at AutoMotivate. Always appreciate and respect one another. I'll see you in the next van build.